Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. It's time for the J. Craig Podcast. Playing on headphones near you.
Very nice. What's going on, Jason?
Hey, Craig, what's happening, man? What's up?
What's up?
I have a question for you, man. How are you loving the free life?
You know what? I've never wanted to do nothing so badly in my entire life. Because I actually do have things that I need, that I've said I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I just getting up the motivation to actually do just those things has been difficult.
Has it been? Well, you're welcome
Yes,
to the
yes,
new
it
world of that.
I mean, I've been in layoffs by choice before, but I was very productive. But for some reason this time, something about this last gig just burned me out.
Well, it's telling you that
really
you need
did.
to write.
Yes, exactly.
And
Even
only
that,
write.
I'm just kind of like, I write and I'm like, yeah. I'll tell you one thing, and I hate that I'm going to sound like an asshole for saying this, is my dogs distract me like crazy. I've never
don't
had to
doubt that
lock
at
them.
all.
I've had to lock them, like put them outside before, which is fine. But if I don't, they're so up my ass lately. I don't get it. If I sit here and I want to work, so I'm doing a lot of stuff online, and they're just like, "What are you doing? Why are you sitting in that chair?" I come in, I'm paying attention to me. Why don't you come outside and play? Why don't you do this? I got this
Just damn dogs.
big ass patch of land, and they're like, "Hey, well, I'm going to lay right here." And then before you know it, they're all laying here, and I can't even move. And it's just, they're being really needy at the moment.
Sounds like
Very
some first
needy.
world problems there, man.
That's a first world problem for sure. my well-fed dogs are want to lay at my feet inside the house.
How
until
dare they?
get fed
How
food.
dare
That's
you
a
get
def-
that love? Look,
That's
what
definitely.
the hell do you have to your lips there? Red Bull? My goodness.
I've been trying to motivate myself all day to do a bunch of stuff I got to do. So after the podcast, I'm gonna do it.
Okay, good
So
for you,
that's
man.
why I'm drinking the Red Bull. Yeah,
Well,
and I went
speaking
to
of podcast, dude, this is our 50th podcast.
Yay!
Hey!
That's a milestone. Thanks,
It's
ladies
a
and gentlemen,
great milestone.
for actually listening to us. We never would have got past 3 if nobody listened.
Well, there's that, right?
All
No, we
right.
probably got told like 10 before we realized, oh, really, no one's listening. So, do we really want to keep doing it?
Yeah, because we pre-recorded a bunch of stuff,
Yeah, we did like five in one night.
and then we were like, I remember when we first put them up, and I kept going back to like the website and SoundCloud, and like refreshing it. Like, is
Right.
anyone listening to it?
Right,
There'd be like one person. I was like, well, someone listen to it.
Hey, someone listen to it. We can keep going.
And then I remember when it got to like 17, and I was so ecstatic. But I'm pretty sure I left you a message like, dude, like almost 20 people have listened to it, which
Right.
to me is a big deal.
It was a big deal. Now
It was a big
we
deal.
get some larger numbers. Hopefully, those are some real solid numbers.
I think I've separated out the real from the
From the fake traffic.
fake.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Looks like it. 'Cause I can tell when like a couple days into it just gets picked up in a circuit. It just rolls the circuit.
Yeah.
It's traffic. Yeah.
Well, it's been about a year and a half to get us to number 50, and I think it's been we've hit a lot of cool topics, man. We've done a lot of really cool podcasts.
It's amazing we've had to talk about movies this much. 50 times.
Yeah, right.
50 times.
Well, that's the thing. We were doing them
what's a-
4 times a month, so now we're doing them twice a month. So we've had to.
There aren't as many good movies to talk about anymore.
That's
what it is.
This summer's been great, though, man. Well, it's not the summer. This year has been a really good year so far.
It's been a good year so far. I expect it to wrap up really well.
Well, we got 4 really solid movies or potential movies coming out at the end of the year, the last 3 months. So it's big time right there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Or you're talking,
Blade Runner,
of course.
October. You
Yes.
have the Justice League, which you might not care about, but that's a big one up no matter what. And then Thor, Ragnarok,
Right.
which looks badass, and then Star Wars.
Right.
So you have 4 movies coming out the last 3 months.
I'm throwing it in there.
You can throw it in all the fucking day long, man. That's good for you.
Looks good. Looks like a good movie. I'm gonna go
It looks
check it out.
terrifying. I'm not going to see it.
Yes, it looks absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. No, it does a great job selling it, man. I am totally to the point where I don't want to see it because I'm like, fuck that shit.
That movie's going to give somebody some nightmares for sure, which is cool. We're going
to get a lot of clown stuff happening again. Remember we had 2 years ago, clowns everywhere.
We're going to get a lot of red balloons and it's going to be a huge Halloween costume.
Absolutely.
The clown with the red balloon.
No, it came out already, right?
No, it comes out in 2 weeks.
Oh, it comes out in 2 weeks. Oh, I thought it was coming out because that's why I don't really care.
No.
I'm not going to see it.
I saw a preview for it one night. I moved to the movies the other night, and people I was with, I was like, "You want to go see that?" And they're all just like, "No, are you crazy? I have no way I'm going to see that."
That's me.
The chances are I'm going to be seeing it alone.
Hey, and that's even more terrifying.
Which is okay.
Right? Make sure you're sit by a lot of people.
Well, it'll be huge here. Horror films here are a big deal.
Oh, really?
Horror films are action films, like the animated comedies, the Pixar
movies too.
Huge. The Pixar movies.
Okay.
Fast and Furious is big.
Yeah.
Mostly due to its cast.
Any kind of I thought it would be just like the race cars. That's not a huge thing.
It is a big thing, but not every one of those movies draws a crowd.
I see.
It just depends on the marketing.
Okay.
And then horror films. Horror films are huge here. Yeah, horror films are huge. Like when the Annabelle's been out here for a month, and that's unheard of for a movie that lasts a month. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, it looks terrifying. I'll check it out of that shit. I am not seeing it.
Because Atomic Blonde came out last week and it's already gone.
Really? Well, at least you got a chance. You didn't see it, did you?
Short. No, I didn't get a chance to see it. It's got movies here have an extremely short window. Movies here don't play. The moment that the movie's not packed seats anymore, it's gone.
Oh, really? So it's got
really don't get a chance. Yeah.
So Atomic Blonde was there for 2 weeks, maybe.
A week. Maybe
a week.
Maybe a week and a half.
Damn.
Because I saw it when I went to the beach last week. I was like, oh, when we come back, we should go see Atomic Blonde. But I was wiped out Sunday. I was like, yeah, I'll just see it during the week. And then come Wednesdays when you see the new release schedule.
Oh.
And I clocked in Wednesday, and I was like, oh, that's gone.
Mr. Window, man. Mr. Window, it's too bad, but you'll see it soon enough.
That reminds me of when I was living here. When I was living here was the year that Captain America, Winter Soldier, and there was a rash of movies that I wanted to see had come out that year. And I was in the mall, and I saw the marquee, and I was like, oh, I should come back. I'm going to come back on the weekend and catch some movies. Or in a couple days, whatever I was thinking, Then I just came back, and a couple days later, I came back to the mall. Everything was different. Every movie was different.
It's like you walked into your own time machine. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait a minute, I thought I saw it. And I asked the guy, because I was like, hey, at the time I couldn't speak any Spanish. I was like, hey, what's going on? You guys changed the movie? He's like, well, if you think about it this way, at the time, especially then, only the shopping malls had cinemas. So there's a very limited number of theaters in Costa Rica. So if Hollywood's pumping out 3 new releases a week, if a movie doesn't make an impact, they got to make room for the next movie.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it makes sense. It makes sense. They can't let it lollygag. They got to keep moving.
No lollygagging.
No lollygagging going around there.
There's no relegating into the small theater. And just letting it play out. There's none of that going on.
That's cool. Well, but hopefully you'll get to see probably never Wind River, right? Probably never there. No, that's not the movie for it. That's too bad.
I don't see it happening.
That's too bad.
But even though, it'll probably come out here in 2 years. Because there's been a bunch of movies the past couple weeks that have been things you just never heard. Like the Inhumans, the TV show The Inhumans.
Yeah.
Was in the IMAX theater last weekend.
I actually just saw something online today about that being a feature
limited
or
release.
Something. Yeah. I don't understand it myself.
But unfortunately, you'd never get the Close Encounters reissue or the Terminator 2 re-release.
Or Jaws anniversary.
You're never going to get that stuff.
Yeah. It's just all based upon the market and what's available. Just going to pump them through. Hey, it is what it is, right, man? At least get to see something.
Because I finally saw Baby Driver.
Hey!
And the theater was there's 25 people in there.
Oh,
probably.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah,
how many does the theater take typically?
I would say that theater probably fit 200 people.
Oh, and it was only 50 in there? 25?
25, maybe.
Oh, so that'll be gone tomorrow.
Little gag in the middle. It'll be gone by Wednesday.
Yeah.
No chance.
Well, you said yourself, when I talked about it, you said that doesn't sound like that movie would play here very well.
Well, even because the girl that I saw it with doesn't speak English, so we go off the subtitles. And even she said when it was over, she's like, because she fell asleep for a few minutes, so did I.
Oh,
she's like, yeah, I nodded off.
Oh.
And
the plot thickens.
She's like, there was so much talking. Like, I thought you said it. It's like, I thought you said it was an act, because she has to read, and she doesn't like to read.
Right.
Like, she loved but the movie's good because she loved Dunkirk.
Yeah, but Dunkirk wasn't a lot of talking, so yeah.
And she loved War of the Planet of the Apes, which had a lot of dialogue.
Yeah, for sure.
But she thought that was the best out of what we've seen.
Oh, it probably we're right. Yeah, I mean, War of the Planet of the Apes was dynamite.
So it isn't like she's just turned off by subtitles. If the movie's engaging, she's into it.
So,
but it's just like dialogue for dialogue's sake. She's like,
I know, I hear you. Yeah, it's like when I'm watching a samurai film. You if it's a lot of dialogue and it's a heavy drama, then you're trying to keep up. You're not, you can't watch anything.
It's like the first time that I saw Ron. I was pretty young when I saw Ron.
I pronounce it Ron.
It's Ron, right? Yeah.
I think so.
First time that I saw it, like in the beginning, they're talking about all the geographical politics of the land and this and that. And I was like,
yeah.
A sword fight in this movie.
Yeah.
What's going on?
3 hours later. We'll get there.
3 hours later.
We'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. But in the beginning, like, my brother this and he owns this land, and if you betray him, and I was like, everyone looks the same. Like,
I know. But Ron changed it for me because they use colors.
Yes,
outfits
exactly.
to differentiate, right? Because in the black and white, for my Japanese cinema that I watch, unless there's a really distinct difference between what a character looks like you always know who Toshiro Mifune is, right? He stands out,
of course.
But
the man just has presence,
right? But there's so many times in black and white where it's hard to differentiate, like who's who. And I guess probably their culture looks at Americans the same way. Maybe in black and white cowboy movie, they all look the same too, right?
Oh, yeah, like they were watching, I imagine they were like, in China, they were like watching War of the Planet of the Apes. Oh, the apes look the same. But I'm sure you're right. I'm sure that in the big ensemble films are just like, George Clooney looks like Brad Pitt. This guy looks like that guy. I'm sure they think the same thing. Right.
But I'm sure there's there's this distinctive people who look very, like Toshiro Mifune, right? Like you can't hide that guy, man. He's just...
No, some people just have presence.
Yeah.
It was like when I was living in Iraq, and the Indians, or the Pakistanis would all have the Bollywood movies,
Mm-hmm.
And they watch these horrible DVD copies. They watch them.
Nice.
Like, watch this one, sir. Watch this one. And you watch some of it, and I would say things like, how can you tell these guys apart? Because the style of filmmaking is there's 10 guys on screen or girls, and they're all just chattering.
Oh my God.
And it's very like Robert Altman to the next level kind of a thing.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this guy, you can't tell us. They look at me like, what? How could you not tell him apart? Like, that's obviously so and so. That's obviously he's a big actor here in India. And that girl, this. And I was like, that's almost like you differentiate them by how far across their face the mustache goes. Like some guys got a little mustache, another guy's got 3/4, another guy's got all the way across. One guy's just a little fatter.
That's fantastic.
What's that guy mustache doing?
So there's a mustache wrangler. He's gonna walk up and make sure no, it grew. Got to shave off the sides. He's got to go everywhere with a ruler. The Mustang Wrangler.
I'll line up all 5 of them. They'll look at the last day's Polaroids. No, we've got to take you. No, that's totally off.
Where's the Mustache Wrangler?
Get the pencil.
All right, where's the easel? We're gonna draw it on. I forget, where the hell were we going with that? Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
So,
I don't know. I saw Baby Driver finally.
That's great. I'm glad you finally saw it. Now, I actually wanted to circle back. I did and we talked about it before in a podcast. We were doing our heist podcast, and we used that movie to kick off, the chasing, the heist, or not the heist, but the
we talked about
car chases.
Yeah. Car chases, yeah.
Yeah. So I really liked the movie. I heard a couple things that had me a little concerned based upon what you just said there. So give me the skinny. What'd you think?
I did not like it.
Interesting. You fell asleep, so that was my first clue.
I'm gonna preface this for the audience and say I'm a huge Edgar Wright fan.
You are.
Huge Edgar Wright fan. I am many times really struck by the visual choices he makes, how fast, how quick he communicates visual information about characters and story, about where, time, and place, and establishing situations, and then how his style integrates into movement and carrying everything along. Not the peak of that, obviously, is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Even though I dislike John Cena. It's style.
Michael Cera.
Oh yeah, John Cena's the bodybuilder. two wildly different individuals.
And very different.
Can you say that about a party? Are you guys brothers? No.
That's awesome.
Michael Cena's doing coke. But
okay, so Michael Cera, you don't like. You like Edgar Wright's movies.
I like the movie. Like he really Edgar Wright's going for broke in that movie. Like
talking about Scott Pilgrim still, right? Yeah, he goes for broke.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World it fits with his style. It's wonderfully cut together. The music is good. It takes a totally absurd concept and sells it to the audience very easily and quickly. Like in that movie, you accept the 7 next evil boyfriends, and you're like, oh, okay, cool, let's keep moving. But he establishes that world very easily and very well. Whereas in Baby Driver, I just think that his I don't understand what world I never understood what world he was trying to create. I never understood the characters he was trying to create. Like everything felt dictated by a very weak script.
So you didn't get bought in emotionally from any of the characters right away. You didn't fall into the character right off the bat, because it focuses on the character first and foremost, right? So you either like him or you don't like him. If you don't like him, you're not gonna enjoy the movie.
Okay, let's talk about that. Okay. Who is this guy?
He's Baby.
Okay, but in your words, even though you saw it a while ago, who is he?
He's a heist or a getaway driver, a young getaway driver who is in over his head with debt.
Okay, but is that a character?
It's a character.
I mean, like, who is he? Like, what does he want? What are his needs? Like, what's his moral compass?
Well, okay, okay, that's interesting right there. He wants nothing, as far as we know, except for just to keep doing these jobs. We don't find out what his goal is later on, is to get out from underneath this guy's thumb, right? We don't find that till much later in the story, that he's got, like, debt he's paying off. So you're right, that would be something that you would probably find out first, is, why this guy is doing what he's doing. Because it seems to me like he's doing it for fun, the way the movie starts.
The way it starts, absolutely, he's in it for the rush.
Interesting.
Okay. For the rush.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
But is that the intent?
No, it's not. It's not. When you think about what. Yeah, you're right. When he comes back later on, we find out that he's not there for. He's there because he has to get underneath from this guy's thumb. He's got to get underneath this guy's thumb and be able to get away free. Right. But that doesn't jive with the way the movie starts. So I see what you're saying. Interesting.
I think the movie's too concerned with presenting this guy as cool. Like, the opening sequence shows him as the absolute badass driver. Like, there's no way the Mexican girl didn't want to sleep with him after that getaway chase.
Interesting.
There's no way. She's like, oh, I got to get about this guy. Where's John Hamm? This is the guy. Like, this is the guy. And then very telling is 2 or 3 scenes later, when they have the meeting with Jamie Foxx's character, who I think is a horrible character for the movie. We'll get into that in a little bit. Is he's listening to music, and then Jamie Foxx's character Bats, he says, "This kid's not even listening," and then Baby repeats the plan,
right,
about what they're going to do.
Right.
Now, a couple things here is, if him repeating the plan was crucial information to the audience about how the setup, how this heist is going to go down, like we needed that information to understand how it's going to go down, then that's great. But he's just repeating dialogue. Like, what's the point of that scene? To show that he reads lips? You could have communicated that in another 10-second clip. I mean, you've already kind of communicated that, sign language with the somewhat deaf foster father. Right. So all that scene does is kind of like, hey, look how cool Baby is. Like, it's pointless.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, because it's about Jamie Foxx. Is his name Jamie Foxx? Are we saying his name right?
Jamie Foxx? Bats.
Is his first name Jamie?
Jamie Foxx, the black actor. Yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Okay. I'm having a weird moment there. Like, is that right?
Rupert. Rupert Fox.
Rupert Fox. Jamie Lee Fox? Okay, so I'm sorry. I digress.
Rupert. And be like, it's Jamie. You're a grown ass man, and your name is Jamie.
Are you sure it's not Rupert?
Somebody
it should be Rupert.
Swear to God, it was Rupert.
His name should be Rupert. Okay, so
you have a much cooler name like Denzel. That's a cool name.
Or Malcolm. Okay, so you didn't like it because it essentially didn't start off with what the story was really going to be about and had no pulse. So you're saying
it fails on me on a lot of levels. And I'm actually gonna. Sorry, folks. If you like Baby Driver, I'm gonna rip this movie to shreds right now. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing because
I'm gonna stop listening to that right now.
Never establishes what the rules of the world are in terms of like what the stakes are, consequences, who these people are, how they operate, what their relation is to one another. It's never established. B, characters act solely out of motivation of the script, and not by prior choices or prior statements or anything of that. And I can give a bunch of examples on that. And then as it proceeds, it starts to fall into obvious I need to get from point A to point B plot points. Like it does nothing, doesn't happen organically. I'll start throwing out a few examples of unmotivated character ideas. First and foremost is, the movie opens in the car chase. That's fine. There's some opportunities there to learn about how this crew operates together that's never established. But you do see John Hamm, like every time Baby makes a good move, John Hamm's like, hey, pat him on the back, and hey, you got away, you hate this. Then the next scene, John Berthraw, who I wish was in the rest of the movie, for God's sake.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
I'm liking that guy more and more.
Dude, he's a chameleon. Like, he can play anything. He can be...
Wait till you see Wind River.
Oh, is he in Wind River?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Can't wait.
He's awesome.
I can't wait to see him and my man Renner go toe-to-toe acting. That'd be great. But think about his role. Think about his role in Sicario when he comes off as like the easygoing Texas
he's a hitman,
cop.
right? Oh, he's a cop.
He's the cop who seduces Emily Blunt. They go back to her place and he's being smooth laconic. But then he tries to kill her, and you can see that it's not really. You can see on him that it's not really something that's natural to him, but he's going to do it.
Right.
And then when they got him in the back of the cop car, and they're beating him up, he's crying and he's begging for this. Like he's such a good actor to make that turn from menacing to weak.
Right.
And then he's the Punisher and comes off as a great Punisher in that TV series. And then he was in the that Ben Affleck thing we like, The Accountant.
He was. That's right.
Again,
good turn on that.
He can be menacing, and then he can flip and be intelligent, and then in the end he's weak. He's sad about the whole brothership thing.
And he's got good timing too.
Yeah, he does. It's
very important.
What I like about he's one of those guys who can communicate a lot without dialogue. He walks up to Baby, and he taps on his earbuds, and he's kind of looking at him, and he's waiting for Baby to flinch. Baby doesn't.
Right.
And he moves on, but he barely has any dialogue in that scene. But again, part of my complaint is, where does he fit in relation to the crew? Because in the next meeting, he's gone and Jamie Foxx is there. So isn't
he gone for the rest of the story too?
He's gone. He's out of the movie.
It's like I expected him to come back at the end, like for some reason, like it lasted, and it's like, oh, it's Jamie Foxx.
So here's what they're kind of telling you that, because when he says, was he slow? What is he, slow or something? And Spacey says, was he slow? No, he wasn't slow. So you are hinting at the fact that he's new in the crew. So am I like, is it a new crew every time? Is it like, what are you telling me about the relationships here? Then he's gone, and then Jamie Foxx is there, right, who's this wild card, violent psychopath. So, and I'm like, well, is Kevin Spacey like, I don't understand Kevin Spacey's role in this. He's organizing it. So he's bringing these people in for the jobs.
Yeah,
so, but
I thought you got that.
Yeah, but I get that from I'm getting that. That isn't like I'm not an idiot. Like I'm getting that from. Getting that from the progression. But then I'm like, why? In terms of the movie's logic.
Okay.
After the first job, and Jamie Foxx is shooting everybody that he can, and then kills so and so, and then kills a guy on the job. But it's kind of like, why are you keeping this guy around? Why are you using him again? Like, why put yourself in that kind of jeopardy? Especially because the second job doesn't include John Hamm and the girl. The third job, John Hamm and the girl come back, and it's just like, and then John Hamm. I'm on a rant. And then John Hamm, and the girl decide to kill Jamie Foxx, which is a good decision.
Right.
Right. So you set that up in the audience, like, okay, well, that's more conflict down the road, which is good, because we all want Jamie Foxx to die at that point. And then as soon as there's a little hint of like, well, Baby's made these tapes, and he was trying to leave at 2 a.m. John Hamm flips the script. Now he's mad at Baby, and he's totally ignoring the whole fact that he 10 minutes ago he wanted to kill Jamie Foxx, and it's just motivated by the plot. Okay, I need to create jeopardy for Baby, and so I'm going to bring in these tapes. To me, in another Edgar Wright movie, which is what I expected, when they're like, "You making tapes? What are you doing? You're recording us?" And he says, "Well, I just like I make music out of them, and I do this and I do that." And then John Hamm says, "That's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard in my life." I wish the movie would have acknowledged how dumb that sounds and moved on.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean? Like I wish John Hamm and Fox would have been like, "That's just dumb enough to be true," and just moved on from that point. But instead, because they have to create more jeopardy, they make a big deal out of it. And they knock him out. And then even though they find the tapes, and then he was trying to leave, all this is happening, they still use him in the heist because he gives this dumb little 10-minute speech like, "I'm your driver tomorrow." It isn't up to him. He's putting everyone else in jeopardy. Kevin Spacey, who still, again, I have no idea what role he plays in the criminal hierarchy. And the other people, it's their money, it's their heist, it's their life. And he's like, "I'm your driver tomorrow." They'd be like, "Fuck off. Go take your mixtapes and get lost." You know?
All right, well.
The movie's internal logic doesn't make any sense.
Well,
it's all predicated on the script.
One thing that I find very interesting is the tapes that you're talking about. Now, first of all, let me say this. I actually really enjoyed the movie, so despite all your bitching about the movie, I still enjoyed it. However, you bring up some very, very valid points that I did not catch. And one thing being, I did not think the movie started off properly with the character. Like, I didn't understand. I was like, "What? That's weird." And then you're right; it doesn't go into the world of what it doesn't create the world. It just says this is a heist. He's a fast driver. That's what you're creating in that scene. As you go through the story, the through lines are not connected properly. You're absolutely right. And one thing I'll say is the whole inclusion of the tapes in a better movie or in a better written movie, that would have been a point to drive something else as opposed to just being there at the end just so they can cause conflict for him.
It becomes a emotional. He never listens to that tape except that the girl listens to it.
Right.
It's not like he doesn't retreat back to that tape for anything after like a heist to calm himself down or anything like that. Like it's never. It's just it's a word. Right. And another really terribly unmotivated character point that I thought was a great, again, really bad, and just not thinking the movie through and the characters is he takes the girl out for dinner and Kevin Spacey's there and pays for the meal.
Right.
And they're outside and Kevin Spacey says, "Yeah, it doesn't mean just because you paid off doesn't mean you're done." And he's threatening him.
Right.
And he says, "Oh, the girl's cute. You should keep it that way." Okay, that's a nice little sly threat, right?
Right.
Telling him that I don't really give a shit about what you got going on. You're going to drive for me. Okay, very nice flip.
With or without the dad, yeah.
Yeah. And then at the end, for reasons that will forever go unexplained, unless there's a director's cut that's 10 minutes longer, is Kevin Spacey's packing up to leave at the climax, and then the girl comes in and he says, "Oh, well, I was in love once." And it's just like, wait a minute, is this the same guy that threatened the girl with violence an hour ago in the movie, and now he's saying, "I'm going to risk my life for love and give everything up because you like this girl"? Okay. Can someone explain that to me?
No. I mean that's my opinion of the movie now. You just destroyed the movie for me.
You get what I mean?
I totally get what you mean. I still enjoyed the movie, but I know exactly what you mean. It failed to present anything with logic. It was all predicated based upon where it needed to go, as opposed to what the why.
Yeah.
It was just, we got to get to this point. So one thing that's curious is you mentioned I didn't think about was why even bring, if you don't like to use the same people and you want everything to be done without killing anybody, which is what they say early on, or they don't say anything, but they make mention of it kind of in passing later in the movie. Why not make that an earlier standpoint? And that's why you don't, when you bring on someone like Jamie Foxx, it's because you had no other choice. And you create drama with the decision of using him, not just the fact, why you're using him.
Thank you. Nothing's used to create tension. Like he's tension on his own. Like his presence, that made sense. His presence is meant to create the tension on its own. Where there's nothing where anyone. John Hamm thankfully questions like, "Well, I don't like this guy."
Okay.
Thankfully. But other than that, there's never anything like, look, we're using so and so. Maybe you guys don't like it, but I like it. It's kind of like it's kind of like how they were driving to meet with Spacey, and they made that drop. They made that diversion to the pick up the guns, buy the guns.
Yes.
What was the point of that whole scene? What the biggest problem with the movie is that it doesn't establish its own set of rules, which is paramount, and I'd like to talk about that. And it never, your world that you create for your story has to have its own internal logic, and the characters should make choices predicated on how the world works.
Right. Okay.
Given how their arcs work. And let me make an example. Is since both movies, there's been some comparisons online about this, and I don't chime in on those things, but I totally would. Is people are comparing the opening of Baby Driver to the opening of Drive, which
you can't.
I think Refn smacks right around the flagpole 10 times and goes back and has lunch.
The opening scene of Drive is its own movie.
Yes, thank you. It's its own short film. Thank you very much. Thank you for saying that. It's its own short film. So the example I wanted to say to you is Drive opens with, you hear Gosling's voice. He's telling the criminals about what his rules are.
He's telling somebody.
Exactly. You don't know who. You're getting inferred information.
Right.
He's telling what his rules are. The camera's showing you that he's plotted everything out. He lives very sparsely. His bag's already packed. Like you're getting every single bit of visual information about this character that you need. Then he goes to Bryan Cranston's character. So then, this is his will guy. This is the guy he gets car support from.
Wait, back up. Wait, before you get to that point, he talks about his own rules. Don't forget that.
Exactly.
On
he
the
talks
phone.
about his own rules.
He talks about his own set of rules.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and then we see Bryan Cranston.
And we see Bryan Cranston, and then you're into the heist. Now you have enough information to build tension as to how this heist is going to play out.
Right.
And it plays out exactly how he predicated it, which is cool and great, but it reinforces who he is as a character.
Yeah, because you see the ball game on in the background of the phone call.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Man, it's brilliant.
So now imagine if it started like Baby Driver, and the movie started with him pulling up to that industrial complex,
and the guys
get out, run inside. He sets his watch. So you'd infer that he's going to time everything.
Well, it's funny.
And then the guys come out. It wouldn't be the same.
No, it wouldn't be the same. But you know what? That's actually not a bad opening. But because of what they added before that, it makes that much more powerful.
It makes it.
You can start it that way, and many movies have where it starts with the action.
Yeah, you could.
But that little bit, that two quick scenes that are like probably 5 minutes total,
if that,
right? So those two scenes set up why there's more going on than just the setup, right?
Pushes you. It set the setup. It sets up the opening. Right. There isn't any setup in Baby Driver. Like the setup is him in the car listening to music, which is cool in its own way. Like I'm not discounting that it's cool. But it's kind of like I'm just kind of left with after the chase, and then you show him walking through the street, and he's and there's been made mention online that the way Edgar Wright edits to music, dude, Scorsese edits to music, Tarantino edits to music, the list goes on. It isn't like he's the first guy to do it. I love Edgar Wright, so I'm being hard on him because he's such a good filmmaker, and then it moves into this meeting that doesn't really explain anything out. The only bit of information you get out of that whole scene is that he's in debt to Kevin Spacey, and he only gets a small cut. That's all you get.
Oh, that's right. You do find that out in that first scene there. Okay.
So you're talking like the first scene, and then the credit sequence, and then the first scene. So you're already like 10 minutes into the movie.
That's all we found out.
And all you found out is the reason he's doing this is he's paying off the debt to Kevin Spacey.
All right.
So then he goes.
Okay. So
he goes back home. I'm sorry. I gotta bitch one more time on this. He goes home and he puts the wad of cash, which is probably like $50,000 or whatever, underneath the floorboards, right?
Right.
And it joins a packet of what, like 20 other packs of money.
At least. Yep.
So he's been doing this for a while, right? So then all of a sudden, is he getting a crisis of conscience about the violence because they've never killed anyone before, or because he met the girl, because he's clearly been doing this a lot.
Yeah, no, and it's right there. You said it. It's the girl. The girl changes everything. Kissing the girl is the midpoint of the story too. I mean, it's a direct midpoint. So it all changes because of her, and that changes his whole outlook on everything. And that's why he makes mistakes, and it changes the story. And actually, I really like that midpoint, because I was like, "Uh-oh, that's going to cause a bunch of problems." And it's sure enough.
Yeah, because in the next heist is when he screws up his iPod shuffle. He's like, "Oh, I got to start over."
Exactly.
You know,
right.
He has this. So if that's his crisis of conscience, I mean, that's great. But it's like it's not. It just feels weak.
Okay, so I get what you're saying, but I want to do something here. I wanted to say something that I'm glad you kept going, because I wrote it down though. You talk about the beginning of Baby Driver and how it only sets up the fact that he's in debt. Okay, we know that he's very skilled. We know that they don't know each other. We know that he's very quiet, and we know he's into music.
Right.
Compare that to Drive. We talked about how great the opening is, but what is it? What is it? It also sets up who he is. Right. He's a loner. He is amazing at his job. He's very detailed. He's got his own set of rules. Okay, that's the only thing he doesn't have in Baby Driver right there is a set of rules. Other than that, we learn that he has a partner that he works with. So do we learn much more? Or is it just because of the way it's done and the style of it that really speaks to you?
I think you get a lot out of the next few scenes of Drive, even though I can't quote them verbatim. You get where Cranston's character is coming from in terms of the whole race car angle.
Okay.
You get that, because that's going to lead them to Albert Brooks, right?
Right.
You get that he's a stunt car driver. That's his fence for the not his fence. That's his front that he does. You get the quiet, insulated life that he leads, and in the first 10 minutes, you also introduce the girl. He's not with her yet. I don't think he gives her the ride until like the 15-minute mark, but you do introduce her.
Yeah, I think that you get introduced to some way.
You pretty much get everything. You get everything that's going to play out in the movie in the first 10 minutes of Drive. You pretty much. Yeah.
Interesting. I'd have to take a look at. I know that opening far more than I do Baby Driver. I saw it once, so you saw it more recently.
And you do get that information in Baby Driver, and I realize we're comparing pretty wildly different films. But in Baby Driver, he sees the girl, the coffee shop, the diner girl walking. But you get everything. Everybody who's in the movie is pretty much there except for Jamie Foxx. No, I think he's in the first 10 minutes. Can't remember. But
he's not.
He's not. Okay, so
I don't think
everything you get pretty much everything you need to get, but it's just not assembled correctly. Like it's not. He hasn't placed his engine car on the starter line.
I see.
And got everything moving correctly. You know,
I see what you're saying, and I think ultimately it comes down to it didn't create the world. It didn't set up the world or the rules. The internal logic was off throughout the story as well from that point, right?
And it's kind of like in the credit sequence when he goes to get the coffee and the cops go by and he like ducks behind the gas lamp, and I'm like, okay, so are these guys afraid of the cops? Are they on the lookout for them? Like, do they give a shit?
Right.
Like, what's going on? Like, I don't get it. It doesn't need to be like a criminal mastermind movie like Heat. It isn't that movie, but it does need to have its own logic.
You're right. Okay, so that being said, it is our 50th episode.
50th episode is about
of the J. Craig.
Yes.
And
rules and logic for storytelling.
What shall we talk about? Rules and logic. Wait, let him play. Let him say his thing.
What shall we talk about?
Thank you very much. Rules and logic.
Yeah, he needed his 50th time.
We haven't got him in a while, so I'm glad he's back in.
That's right.
By the way, I want to make mention, we haven't said this in a while. I want to thank Brian Gillespie for the music being lent to us for Inez for our opening today. So appreciate that, Brian, as always.
And thank you to Phil Fox, the man behind the voice.
Absolutely. Thank you, Phil.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Phil. So Craig, so it's the 50th episode of the J. Craig, and our topic today is internal movie logic and the setting up of the rules.
The world of the movie, the contained world of the movie needs to have rules.
Yeah, we're working on the title here, folks.
Yeah.
We're working on it here. But I love it because you brought up a lot of good points about Baby Driver, and you can compare it to Drive, which sets up the rules, and we talked about the rule part of it. And with Drive, he sets up his own rules. So earlier you're talking. Go ahead. Part
of that is he sets up his own rules as a character,
right? Which is different.
But it also sets up the rules of the world you're living in. It's kind of like there's always this sliding scale in cinema, like you're dealing with fantasy or reality.
Okay.
You can go full-blown fantasy, fine, or really hard nails reality. No problem. And in between there, your movie's always going to lie on one of those tracks. Somewhere in the gray, somewhere in the black, somewhere in the white, whichever. But you have to tell the audience where is it total fantasy? Or
is it
gritty reality? Like in Drive, Drive hews pretty close to a reality in its own contained world. Like the police are real, police are a real threat. They deal with the police in a realistic manner. There are consequences to violence. Hello, little man. Violence has consequence, and
God love you. What, Levi? I can't. I'm walking right now. Go, Mom.
I told you to stay in your room.
Let's go.
Get in your room now.
Go on.
Go.
The door locked too. All right.
I like how he's all cool and calm and collected, and that uptick of your wife's voice. He's like, ah! he runs away.
He was supposed to stay in his room.
Like I'm really in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm sorry. Go. What were you just saying?
So Drive establishes, yes, you get his character rules, but you establish where the movie is on that. It hews pretty close to reality.
Right.
It lives in a pretty realistic world that mirrors our own. Mm-hmm. Police are a threat and to not be trifled with, just like that is in real life.
Right.
Violence has consequences. People act in realistic ways. The world that you're looking at is not that different from our own.
Yeah, and they set up the fact that these guys are dangerous because they obviously are bank robbers and they're good at what they do. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's interesting. Yeah. Okay.
So you're pretty close to our own reality, which gives you an entry point. Like, okay, I understand what I'm looking at.
Right.
I understand violence is going to have consequence. It's the rules of this world pretty much mirror my own in a way. Okay. Now, Drive is a little bit heightened in it's a little insulated, and it does give you that. There aren't going to be a lot of people at play in this movie. You've got him. Right. You got the guy. You've got girl. It's pretty insulated.
Okay,
which is fine.
So look at something like The Natural Born Killers, right? It walks in that gray territory towards the one side or the other, right? Heavily.
It totally tells you.
But it sets it up quickly.
This movie is about Mallory and Mickey Knox. Is it Mickey?
Mickey and
Mallory. And Mickey Knox. Yeah, Mickey and Mallory. It's about them. They live in a very heightened reality.
Right.
The movie is about them.
Right.
And it sets it up. You understand that I'm not worried about things like hewing that close to my own reality right now. The movie's about them and the reality that they live in. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
Right away, I get it. It's kind of like a good example of the whole, when I was talking about the police, is the original Matrix does this extremely well in its setup.
Okay.
Is the movie opens with the police coming up to the hotel, and they get out and they've heard a call, and then they find Carrie Ann Moss, Trinity in the room, and then she destroys them in a nanosecond. And the real threat comes in, which is the agents. So you're telling the audience, the police are of no consequence in this world.
Right.
The war is between whoever Trinity represents and these agents.
It's a great point. Right.
That's where the threat and the consequence lie.
And
police are just fodder.
And her reaction to them coming is one of like panic and like, I got to get the hell out of here now.
Exactly.
And
like,
so that sets up everything too.
Yeah. When the police come, she's just like, she beats them up. The agents come and she takes off.
She takes off, right? Yeah, exactly.
No,
she shoots. She shoots first.
Yeah, she shoots first,
and then she takes off.
Runs.
Yeah, so that's really cool because it really is about. Because you can look at two different ways. There's sci-fi, like you talked about, how everything's either you have your gray, your black and white, you have your gray, so it's somewhere in that middle. But even the ones that are black or white, you still need to like Drive. You still need to set up the rules.
Totally do, because to the rest of Matrix, as to continue that example, it isn't like at no point in the movie does Carrie and Trinity turn around and be like, I'm not afraid of these agents anymore.
Right.
She's able to overcome them in a certain way because of Neo's involvement.
Right.
Which is a big step up. She stands up against them, like, you dodge this, and she shoots the guy. But at no point is she ever not afraid of the agents.
Right.
If she would have turned around and they would have turned into, like, cannon fodder, you'd break the rules the movie's established. You betray the audience at that point.
And isn't that where most movies lose it, where they don't have an internal logic?
Yeah.
Right? And so if they decide to switch it, they just switch it because they feel no one's going to give a shit, and it means a lot.
It totally does.
Because it alienates what you've already established, right? And you have to establish it, and you have to follow through it. I think of a lot of great movies that set up the reality, and that reality plays out throughout the rest of the movie. Road Warrior comes to mind. It sets up the world. It sets up everything.
Everything.
Absolutely.
If we were to run down like our favorite films, or just movies that are listed on like top 10 and 25 lists in cinema, we could take the beginning of those movies, and those movies set up the rules of how that world operates and how the characters work in that side of that universe. We totally could. An easy one is Jaws. Don't go in the water.
Right.
Water,
Easy.
It's just go in the water. It's going to kill you.
Yep.
It's a very simple reality to it.
So we already did an opening podcast. So it's funny that we're doing it in a different way, because it is a lot about the opening. It's a lot about just the start of the movie, and whether it's the opening scene or just that length of time which establishes everything. Right.
We kind of touched on it, but we didn't carry it through to, as the movie goes on, if you start betraying the rules that you did establish.
Yeah.
And that's what Baby Driver does. Like it never decides what universe it's playing in. Like at the end when John Hamm goes all John Hamm, because I like John Hamm as an actor, he's great. But at the end,
he's pretty cool in this movie.
He is good, and I wish he was used a little better. Like when he sticks up for Baby against Jamie Foxx, but then flips the script on him when he learns about these tapes, but then doesn't come back. He gets like his character drive gets all muddled in there, and then all of a sudden he's like driving a police car and steals a police car and comes to kill them. And how did he know to come back there? Like none of that makes any sense at all. Like you totally betray all the logic, any logic the movie's built up to that point. It goes out the window. Kevin Spacey's got a shotgun. He's killing the banana guys who come back for. Why do those guys come back into the movie? To wound Kevin Spacey? Why do they come back?
Oh, yeah, those guys, yeah.
That's dumb. And then Spacey shoots at John Hamm. Why does Kevin Spacey decide to shoot John Hamm? He's known this guy for a while. Is it because he's trying to protect Baby? When did that allegiance build?
It's all there. It's loose, but some of it's there. It's loose. It's very loose.
It doesn't. If he'd have taken more time to construct these internal relationships. When it all fell apart, it would have had more impact.
Well, Paul's on your side. Paul didn't like the movie when he first saw it. Yeah. He had a problem with the logic of, and if memory serves, the logic of some of what Baby was doing. I did dig it, but I get it. There's a lot of bad parts of it. So let's talk about this for a minute. The establishing of the rules. What are some of the good ones that do it right?
So many.
Can I say one?
Pick a movie and we'll pick it apart.
Fight Club.
Fight Club totally sets up the rules of the. Yeah, it's all there.
Absolutely is.
It's all there.
Yeah, I mean, just even the credit sequence of that going through the synapse and going through the nerves and out through the nose and through the gun, and
that opening shot, outside of all the other things it communicates, establishes that the movie takes place in a heightened reality.
Right.
That's one of the precise things that it does, and it goes on with the crazy camera moves and the drops of the street and the van loaded with dynamite and this, and I know this because Tyler knows this. You're not dealing with my reality.
Right.
This is the movie's reality.
Yeah.
That's what's going to be the next, and I like this reality. It's cool. Take me for a ride.
It sets you up quickly and in a hurry. Now you don't know a whole hell of a lot. All you get is a sense of what it's going to be like.
Yeah, you know what it's going to be. You're totally like you're interested.
Right.
You're like, how did this all get to this place? How did we get here?
Wait,
what's going on?
And then the narration by Edward, by Norton. Yeah, so that's a great opening. So that's a great way to establish the rules, the world, and the logic of the movie. Right. Okay. So how about give me another movie? Let's go with how about Jurassic Park?
Totally set. I mean, it opens with the raptor attack.
Opens with the raptor attack. Okay.
So it sets up how dangerous dinosaurs are.
Right.
That this is how carefully they've tried to construct all of this. How that people die. Dinosaurs are dangerous. and it takes place it's obviously fantasy to a degree, but it's realistic fantasy.
Sure,
There are consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that's a good one. I like that.
It's there, and then it leads into the next scene with Alan Grant and Laura Dern, and then they've taken a very realistic situation and applied that somewhat next level fantasy element to when he threatens a kid, and does all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is good, and then the guy shows up in their RV, and it's okay because you understand that like it's not base reality. It's kind of like 4 or 5 steps up.
Right.
Right.
But it sets up the tone and the rules, and it's not even just it's also the tone. It sets up the tone. Tone has a big deal with this whole idea of what it's going to be like.
Because some people can argue that what we're talking about is tone, but I disagree. Because tone plays a huge role in it. We've talked about tone at length before.
Right.
Tone plays a huge role, but inside of that, you got to have the rules. You got to understand.
Well, they kind of go hand in hand.
The Thing.
Okay.
Okay, The Thing takes place in a very hard real world.
Right.
Like there's nothing about the opening sequence that says like this is total fantasy,
right.
or this couldn't happen. Can it happen or couldn't it happen? There's a couple lines you got to cross. Like, is your movie about something that could happen or something that couldn't happen? Transformers couldn't happen, but I will have to say, Michael Bay does at least try to establish his rules. He always throws them out as the movie goes on, but at least he does try.
He rewrites them as it's going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's like bullets. Like in one movie, bullets hurt Transformers in the first 10 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, bullets don't hurt Transformers. It's that kind of thing. It's like whatever the scene dictates. But in his movies, he doesn't give a shit.
How dare you bring up Michael Bay on the J. Craig again? You owe me 25 cents.
Okay.
Put in the kitty.
Thought it was 50 for the.
It's right, episode. 50. That's right. Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, Red Bull guy. Okay, so you have Michael Bay who does it well as well. He does it kind of. Who else you got there? I think Spielberg does all his. You learn about the rules. Minority Report
is an excellent example of establishing rules because it has. There's so much. Not only does he have to introduce the concept of the precogs and how that works, and that you're arresting people before the crime. That's a pretty high mountain for a screenwriter to cross anyway.
Yep. But
you also have to establish the futuristic world that this operates
is happening in. Yep.
Yeah. So, and then part of that is when which now probably doesn't seem as advanced, but when he's got his Apple screens and he's moving them around,
right?
And which in 2002, 3, somewhere in that, I don't remember, but somewhere in there, but was awesome and still holds up. I watched the movie pretty recently.
Oh yeah, it's very good still.
But you establish that it's our reality in the future. You've taken the same base rules that somewhat apply to us outside of the whole precog thing, and transition that into a real. It's the future, but it's a recognizable future.
Right.
Like the homes, the brownstones, the kids playing on.
Yeah, no, it all looks very, very normal to us.
Like how many of those are left, and you get a sense through that dialogue, even though you're getting. It seems like it's advancing. The criminal detective side of it, how many of those still exist? You get a sense of like, oh yeah, like how far in the future, like you'd start eliminating those things, like rural neighborhoods probably wouldn't exist anymore, and
That's
little
true.
by little, by little, you get introduced to the rest of the world, and it's and it's suspenseful, and much like you said about Drive, the beginning of Minority Report is kind of like a short film.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has a beginning, middle, and an end.
Yeah.
It tells the story. Maybe that's where we're at right now. Is a good beginning is its own short film because it has a beginning, middle, and end, and tells the story of where's this movie going from this point forward.
Right.
Where are we going? Yeah.
That's true. It sets up everything in motion, even if it's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It sets up the younger version of them, but it sets up.
And it establishes just how far into fantasy this movie's going to cross.
For sure. Yeah. That's interesting. So this rule thing, whether it's a beginning, middle, and end, or just really hunkers down on setting up, like the good ones all do it. Fifth Element. It's a great example of. Actually, that one does set up. I was thinking it was more with Corbin Dallas, but it's actually the space sequence with the Thing coming into play. So that's kind of different.
Starts at the pyramid, and then they give the key to Ian Holmes' character, and then I don't remember.
Oh, it does. Does it start in space or does it start in the pyramid?
It starts at the pyramids.
That makes more sense then. Yeah, you want to establish. Yep. Then you establish like this is not the same time frame that we're dealing with. We don't. Then you learn more and more as you go through that sequence.
Because as soon as you introduce, you've got pyramids and you've got the archaeological, but it's kind of a goofy, kind of a fantasy kind of play to it. Then the big humanoids come stumbling in, and they got the key in their finger. You're like, okay, this is fantasy.
Right.
Almost anything is kind of possible. But then in that scene, the one leader gets trapped in the pyramid.
Yeah.
So you establish that there are consequences.
Right.
Like, it isn't like stuff's just going to go flippant. What I did want to say about the Indiana Jones films is if you watch very carefully, if you watch just the first 3 openings of the first 3 films, because there are only 3 Indiana Jones films.
Right.
If you watch the first 3 openings in a row, you see how got your dad radar on, I see.
No, man, I just was like, it sounded like explosions. Like, what's going on out
Really?
there? Like World War III? Sorry about that.
Weird. It would happen just like that too. You'd be like, "What's going on?"
Exactly. I was like, "Wait a minute."
But if you watch like the first Raiders of the Lost Ark is fantasy, but a lot of consequence. It feels somewhat real, but still adventurous.
Right.
Second Indiana Jones is a little more off the cuff. Then anything goes, and
right.
the Bugsby
even
Burst
just the song.
It's a lot more playful.
The moment of the music.
It's a lot more playful. Oh. Yeah, it's a lot more playful, and the movie in turn is a lot more playful.
Right.
The third one, then the Last Crusade opens with like, okay, now we're into like pure, less consequence, less danger, because the kid's never really in danger on the zoo train.
Right.
Like, he's just not. So the stakes are going to be, we understand the stakes are going to be lower in this film.
Right. Okay.
It's not playing it as true to life. Like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, there seemed like higher stakes. Like Indiana Jones could get hurt. People could die. Marion died but came back to life, blah, blah, blah. But it felt a little more, it's fantasy, but with consequence.
Right.
Excuse me. But Last Crusade opens, and you're like, oh, this is just going to be a fun movie.
That's part of it, too, but it also deals with more emotion just on an emotional side with, like, father-son, as far as the main crux of it. And so it starts off with that aspect of being a kid and the adventures of the kid.
It gives you that immediate core relationship of him and his dad.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, hey, kid, you're not going to lose them all. And it's a little, I'd say, well, out of all of everything we just said, Last Crusade tells you it's going to be a nicer movie.
True.
This is going to be a nice, easy-going, fun ride for you.
Especially for people who are upset with Temple of Doom at that point,
Because Raiders of the Lost Ark told you, like, they found the guys getting speared in the face with
booby
traps, and then like it told you, like, okay, well, like, you're gonna see some blood in this movie.
Right. I love the fact that they show you like how the design of these traps went, like the sunlight and the mud on the certain steps. It's fucking brilliant. But so it comes down to movies. Yeah, like I say, just you've got to set up the rules, whether it's a beginning, middle, and end like the good ones are, or it's just something like Drive, which it's not a beginning, a middle, and end. It's a little different. It's a beginning, another beginning, and then the end.
Yeah, because Drive, the way Drive opens and tells you that there's consequence to actions in it, even without violence. When the violence does occur, it's shocking, but it fits within the world that's been established. Right? Whereas in Baby Driver, when the violence starts to break out, I'm like, that just doesn't seem seems out of contact with the rest of the movie. The movie opens with like this car chase, and then they get away scot-free. Then the whole I fall in love with this girl, and then him and his surrogate dad. When the violence does finally start to occur, which is when they kill the security guard, I got a question for you. All right. In Baby Driver, I understand stylistically why he did it, but from why he did it, the first robbery with Jamie Foxx with the pickup truck, he pulls up and he lets them out. Cameras locked on Baby. in the driver's seat of the car. He pulls forward so you don't see what's going on with the heist, and then time to the music. Then he goes back to pick them up. Now, that's totally motivated by what the audience can see. Why does he give a shit to do that?
Wow. I remember that particular scene, and I have no answer for that. That's interesting. Why the hell was that there?
Yeah. Now, if you're telling me because he doesn't want to see what goes on, okay, but he's never done it before.
Right. He hasn't set up that rule yet.
Yeah.
Right? So
it feels like a stylistic choice, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Wow. If I see this movie again, I'm going to probably fucking hate it now. Thanks.
It's kind of like when they say the Soldier Boy hero tries to thwart their escape with his pickup truck.
Uh-huh.
Their emphasis in that scene.
Right.
Like, his setup is real weak. They set him up when they first showed him, because they're showing him for a reason. They pull up into the parking lot, looking at him. I'm like, whoa, is that guy there to rob them? Is that double cross?
Yeah, who's this
what's
guy?
that all about? And then he just comes out of nowhere and tries to save. There's no dialogue with the guy. There's no. And Jimmy Fox says, "This Soldier Boy's gonna." Okay, so is he a Soldier Boy? We don't know.
Right. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, I see it, man. Yeah, you're picking it apart. It's got some bad stuff. Okay, so if that didn't do it right, I have an example for you for a movie that doesn't do the setup properly.
Okay.
Something you haven't seen, unfortunately, so you can't really get this with me. But Valerian and the City of a Thousand Somethings, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I played here and I skipped it. It was out here for 4 days.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm surprised it wasn't just 2. So it does the absolute opposite of what we're talking about as far as setting up what's supposed to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, the very first scene is actually probably one of the best scenes in the movie. It takes place on an alien planet. Yeah, and we're learning about this particular species, and they all of a sudden get attacked by something. Something starts falling from the sky. Right. And it starts falling from the sky, and it's creating just devastation. Like how big this stuff is falling, like big, gigantic, Star Destroyers, falling into a planet, right, and causing that kind of chaos, right? Okay. And so they get onto one of the ships that crashes, and another one comes crashing down, and they lose. They have to lock the doors, and they lose the daughter, the queen's daughter, the princess. Okay. She's outside, and she gets whatever. So she gets lost there, but she does something kind of peculiar with this energy, and she shoots it out, and that energy bolt all of a sudden wakes up Dane, whatever his name is, the lead character who acts like Keanu Reeves on the movie. Yeah. Dane Dehan, whatever. It wakes him up, and then now we're with him. So it's a really interesting opening, but doesn't set up any rules. It just shows so that we're on an alien planet. Okay, so we're dealing with another species. Okay, what's that? Okay, there's a war. So it sets up that. And then the energy bolt wakes him up, and then they do a horrible job of setting up a character who you're going to be following throughout the movie. So it does one good thing, which is sets up the world, but that's it.
Well, what's interesting about how you just explained all that, because I could never repeat it, is
thank you, because I probably couldn't do that.
Not once did I get any sense of who the main characters are.
Well, that's the thing.
Every time that we've talked about the good ones, like Indiana Jones is obvious, Jaws is the shark, Fight Club is Norton, Matrix, Trinity. Right. What's about Neo? Baby Driver. You've got Baby and the Driver and so on. But if I were to ask you, if you would have seen Drive, and I hadn't, and you explained it to me, you'd be talking about this guy does this and this guy does that, and he does this and does that. I'd be like, oh, that sounds pretty cool. But at no time you're explaining Blair, you didn't say oh, this is girl, and she does this and she does that. And only when you were like, oh, and she shoots his energy bolt out. And by then I was kind of like, I'm not going to see this movie.
So that's the thing, dude. You don't know who the character is until you get to call this guy, Dane Dehan, whatever the hell his name is, and you have a cool, interesting opening about an alien planet, a planet full of creatures, whatever species that's getting decimated. Right. What does that have to do with anything, though? Because now we're with this guy, and you're like, well, what did that have to do with anything? And you don't find out until 3/4 into the movie, what this is all about. And you're like, well, that's from the first scene? Oh, man. Jeez, I forgot about that.
I've got a good example, because I think we should bring it in because it's our 50th podcast. Oh. It harkens back to our first podcast.
Ooh.
Batman vs Superman's
Batman
opening.
vs Superman. B vs S. Okay, so
BVS opening. BVS opening does two things that I think are crucial to the success or non-success of the movie, depending on who you ask. Is it opens with him as a kid.
Oh,
First, they shoot the Waynes, and this is the first iteration where Wayne attempts to fight back, which some people may think is insignificant, but it's very significant.
Right, very significant.
It's very, very different. It sets up the whole macho attitude of this movie.
Right.
So we understand we're in a different realm with this Batman vs Superman, with this Batman character, and this is the tough guy, macho, heightened one. But then when he does the whole spiral up, lifted up by the bats, we understand that this is a much more heightened fantasy world than the Dark Knight movies.
Right, which is more reality based. Very
far more reality based.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, but this one we're into the comic books here, folks.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
This is fantasy.
Right.
This is fantasy. If you don't like it, you just leave. But this is the fantasy side of it, and it does that. And I think that's an important thing to do on his side. Is and then when it goes into the next scene with the Batman brandishing they save the kids, they save the human trafficking kids.
Yep.
And he's like in the wall, and they shoot him with shotguns, and he floats up into the wall. It's like that's total fantasy.
Yeah. Especially the way he moves.
Yes, in the Dark Knight movies, Bale would have got shot and fallen down, and but that's the other movies.
Exactly.
This is this movie, and this is the rules we're playing by in this one.
It's a great point. It does everything like you're saying, and that's what we've been talking about so far. As these movies that do it right is about setting up the tone, setting up the character, the rules. Not even necessarily the character at this point. Sometimes it's just about the rules, the world, and the tone that you're setting up.
Because when you do that with Batman in that first scene, he dodges a shotgun and floats up and he hides in the corner. Right. When you set him up like that, later on when he takes out 30 people in the warehouse, you accept it.
Sure.
It's two very clear things. If you tried to be like some hard-nosed real scene in the beginning with Batman, like taking on like a guy and having trouble or whatever, like more of a Christian Bale, Nolan side.
Right. And
then had him go to the warehouse, and they got 30 people like, where did this guy come from? But no, he's established the rules. You've told us this is a different Batman. This guy is like super worldly, powerful Batman.
Right. And it's also why you don't want to start with like the 30 guys at the first scene, right? You want to start with that small. You want to keep growing. Because if you start with that, what are you going to end with? Like a city full of bad guys you got to fight?
The Avengers.
Or Dark Knight Rises. At any rate, so yeah, no, you're right. Especially with Batman vs Superman, it sets up this heightened sense of reality that we're in a comic book land now. This is more Dark Knight, or this is more Batman Returns than the Dark Knight.
What's interesting about this is a movie that fails on every possible level in the opening in terms of rules, character, tone, everything. But then does a rebound like I've never seen in a movie before is the first Avengers film. The first Avengers film opening is like textbook bad. If you hadn't told me what a good movie it was, I would have walked out.
Because you were like, this is a bad
I was
start.
Like, what movie is this?
Yeah.
What God's name?
It's a bad opening.
Even Jeremy Renner's bad in the opening.
Yeah, dude, it's a bad opening. It's just like
bad opening.
What was this the first thing you guys shot? Like the first take? Like, would you guys?
It's almost like the second unit went out and did that and fucked it up, and he's like, "Well, we can't fix it."
Yeah, we're just gonna have to deal with it.
We have to deal with it.
Yeah, we don't have Loki anymore, so.
Like the car chase aspect of it, like none of it, all of it's horrible. But then the movie bounces back.
Oh, it does bounce back about 15 minutes later.
Yeah, it bounces back. But that first 10 minutes, man, I cannot even imagine being like a hardcore Avengers fanboy in the audience opening night. The first 5 minutes being like, "Whoa!"
Are you kidding me, dude? They no, man, they were all ecstatic. They were boners. They couldn't stop it, man. They were just like, "It doesn't matter. I don't care what I see." It's like me seeing Star Wars, right? They're like, "I don't care." Star Wars.
Oh, well, that's something to think about. Think about what does a Rogue One opening tell you about Rogue One that's different than the rest of Star Wars films? It's going to be different, right?
It's going to be different. First, they don't do the scroll. That's the very first thing that tells you this is not your normal Star Wars story.
Exactly.
But it also sets up the world that it feels like a Star Wars movie almost immediately. Just the way everything looks and feels, and it sets up that these are. Yeah, and the first scene with Caspian is actually very good. and setting up the tone of the movie.
I would say I don't really care about the box office, but the opening of Rogue One is far superior to the opening of Force Awakens.
100%.
I think.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. The first, okay, since we're going there, Force Awakens, the more and more I watch it, the more and more it's becoming a prequel to me. Okay, I still really enjoy it, but I keep finding more and more to not like about it. But it did what it was supposed to do. It reinvigorated and brought different generations to like it again, and I love it for that.
Let's think about one of the reasons that it falls apart on repeat viewings is what rules is Force Awakens established in the beginning that get totally thrown out the window throughout the movie. What's his name? Who's the bad guy in Force Awakens? What's his name?
Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren in the opening scenes comes off as a superior Force wielder.
Right.
And by the end of the movie, he's a bit of a boob.
Well, he hasn't come off. He might pretend like he's a Force. All he does is stop an energy bolt, which is pretty fascinating. We haven't seen that. You're right. We haven't seen that yet. And then it brings the guy towards him.
Yep.
No, he doesn't do that. That's later on.
That's later on.
So yeah, he does come on, and then he kills the guy almost instantly without bothering which is really stupid, right?
Why do we? It's so bad. So we're gonna take the pilot hostage, but kill the guy who actually had the piece of information.
Wait, they don't even have the pilot yet. They don't even know the pilot exists yet, right? Because he all we know is the guy's talking to oh well, I'm not going to give him to you, and I'm going to insult you for a second, and then he cuts him down, and then Poe Dameron steps out and starts to shoot, and that's when he freezes him. So then why are you killing him?
Why does he take him hostage?
I don't have the plans. Okay.
That's just it. None of that makes any sense.
Yeah.
He has, unless you're trying to establish how horrible Kylo Ren's deductive powers are, and how bad of a temper he has.
Right. If you're trying to set up that he is not equipped, he's nothing like Vader, he is inept, then you're okay. That's what I get. Okay, but it's not setting up a parody.
Which is okay because I do like the scene. If you try to connect some dots, I do like the scene where he destroys the control panel with his lightsaber.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The two stormtroopers are and they go in the direction. I do like that. I wish the movie had more of that going on, where he was just like some petulant child. I do wish that but why does he take Poe Dameron hostage on his ship? Why?
Because he thinks there's no reason. Why did you leave in the first place? You should be staying down there. You don't have the plans yet. You just killed the guy who had the plans. You think this guy does, but he doesn't have them on him. So I don't know. Maybe it's a droid.
Let's mess up this village and then we leave.
Let's destroy his ship, which it might be inside there too. But just shoot it down.
None of it makes any sense.
It's a horrible opening.
The rules, there's no, and even I was in panic mode when we saw it.
Well, plus him coming off, you have Vader coming off the screen on the screen. You have Kylo Ren coming onto the scene, and it's just I'll give you the credit. The first sequence of the stormtroopers and the ships coming down was cool to see for a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
right.
It had the march music was going on.
Yeah, right. And then when it lands, it turns into little. Okay, it's not Star Wars. But then Kylo Ren coming off of his ship, it's just so anti anything. You're just
well,
oh, that's your opening.
The flip of that is how well the original Star Wars establishes its own logic.
Right.
Space travel is just a common everyday thing.
Right.
We're not dealing with anti-gravity boots and all that shit. You're on the ship, you're on the ship. You establish who the Empire is and how powerful they are. You're establishing that people die. It's a war. What the consequences of actions are and are not. And what the stakes are, basically. And the rest of the movie plays off of all that.
Yeah. It does it well.
I mean, I've always liked the original Star Wars, but I'd say in the last 2 years, I've become a very ardent defender of the original Star Wars. So people read it off this is cheesy, that's cheesy. I'm dude, the storytelling precision of the original Star Wars is if Lucas could do that nowadays, he'd be making classics.
Yeah, no, they're well done, man. Especially the first two movies, they're so well done.
Yeah.
And the first movie gets a lot. I mean, it's groundbreaking because of what it did for effects and for big blockbusters and what have you. But it might get some credit, but I don't know how much credit it does get. But man, it is very well done as a screenplay. But it's a funny thing is because it wasn't written like that. Right. That's not how it was written. Just like Jaws, the screenplay of Jaws wasn't written that way.
It was found in the editing room.
Exactly.
But well, I don't want to belabor Star Wars too hard, but the opening of Phantom Menace doesn't establish anything, and that's part of the reason it fails.
Okay, it sets up that there's Jedi, that they're negotiators.
Yeah, and
it sets up that someone's trying to kill them.
They're horrible at their job, for one thing.
Right. And they try to kill him immediately. So yeah, it's not a very good opening, and plus it has a very ugly start to the movie where you got the booger guys on the screen with the.
I will never forget. I'll never forget because I was very hyped to see it. Honestly,
of course,
I'll never forget when the Asian stereotype, whatever those things were, when they
booger dudes,
when they turned to each other and they were like, and I was like, what? Like me and the guy I saw it with, we were just like, what? Really? It was almost like it was so bad. I almost expected the camera to pull back like South Park style and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan were like watching a bad TV show. Like I almost expected that because I was like, it was so badly done. It's so horribly done.
That is so awesome.
I was like, what in the fuck?
Why stop? That is fantastic.
And then Qui-Gon's like, shut that off. We got to go to our mission. Okay.
Oh man, that is fantastic.
You know I hate that show. Yeah. And then they're going about their day.
Oh,
that's how bad it was, though.
Okay, so that's the thing of the day right there. Craig just said that there's an episode they're watching. It's a very bad way to start a movie. I'll give it to you, man. It's gave me that pit in my pit in my stomach where I was like, just like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull that I've said before. It just starts off and you're like, ooh. But that's just the opening. That's the tone. That's what it starts. That's their first go at you. But that's not like where the good ones go, right? I mean, what I mean by that is, oh my God, what was I trying to say there? I just went off on a tangent and I lost my train of thought.
I think what you're trying to say is that the good movies are taking those initial moments to give you characters, where the characters are going, who they are, what the world is, and the opening of Phantom Menace tells you none of that.
Right.
We don't understand. We get that the two guys are Jedis, but what else?
And we learn all about the Federation and all that shit and the politics.
There's a Federation thing, but what do these guys want? Like what are the rules here? Like who's who, and how do they interact? How do these two people make any impact anybody else? The opening of Star Wars tells you these are the good guys trying to get away, and the bad guys have got a bigger ship, and they're going to kill the good guys, and then the robots escape. I want to get into the whole thing because we all know it. We all love it. The opening of Phantom Menace tells you none of that.
Right.
No, and when they left the ship and went down to the surface or swimming, I was just like, I couldn't tell you what's going on in this movie. I don't know. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing,
or why you care, why you should care.
Why should I care?
And that's the most important thing for me. And I think
why should I care? Yeah.
And I think that's where it comes down for me is when I see movies like the ones that we talk about that, like Valerian or Phantom Menace or Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Even though I love Harrison Ford, Han Solo, him coming out, I was like, that's not Harrison Ford. That's not Han Solo. That's weird. But the good ones really. When it's done right, it's about the emotional contact with the character, understanding what he's going to be doing, where he's at. It's about where the story is going to be taking you. It's about setting the tone. There's so many things at play in that opening 15, 20 minutes.
And we talk about this a lot, but and the listening audience is when you have a movie that's one of your favorites, or you had a certain emotional reaction to, or it's considered a classic. There's no. It isn't like it's like a happy accident, because that movie, the people who made that movie took the rules, they might have bent them and broke them a little bit, then put them back together. But the rules are there. Like they took their time and understood. Like, okay, I have to do this, and we have to do this, and by the 5th minute mark, we got to be here. And then we got to know who these people are. I read this really.
Well, like you say, man, they all have to be at certain spots, and you have to do what you need to get the audience to understand what the story is going to be like, the world they're going to be living in, what kind of rules we're going to be dealing with, and the character. If you don't get those four off, you're in trouble.
Do I care? Or am I just sitting here?
Right.
Baby Driver, I was just sitting there and I fell asleep. I haven't fallen asleep in a movie in years.
Huh.
And I remember coming back up, and Kevin Spacey was saying something about he's got a hum and a drum. I was like, well, I heard that on a commercial. Okay, I'm good. Yeah.
That's awful.
And it wasn't like I saw it late at night. I saw it at 7 o'clock.
Right. Yeah. Well, hey, man, it did. You're calling out some really good points to it. I had a lot of fun with it, but I know if I see that second time, it's going to fall much differently.
But you will not, even though. I'm going to go out on a limb here because I don't know, and I'm not Edgar Wright, and I would never think. To God, I would know what Edgar Wright's thinking, but I love watching filmmakers and their careers and so on, and it's almost like he put a lot of energy in this. We got Pilgrim vs. the World, and it tanked hard. And I think that was a blow to him.
I don't doubt
that. And then he spent a lot of years developing Ant-Man, and it fell apart at the last minute. And then another company was like, I heard Ant-Man fell apart. You want to make a movie? And he needed to make a movie.
Yeah, but don't forget, End of the World was there too.
Oh shit! I forgot all about it.
After Scott Pilgrim, and that didn't do that well either, if memory serves. That's
true, and I think there's a lot of. I noticed because as I managed our Twitter account. Edgar Wright was on Twitter and social media a lot, like, hey, now we're going here, and he, bless the guy's heart, like, it's great to see a guy who's been working for 15 years finally get recognition of the movie that he made. Like, it's great, like, it's awesome, like, I love it, and I think he needed that. I think he needed to make a movie where people, like, actually went to see it.
And I'm glad, because that means we'll get more of him, because here's the funny thing is, as much, you love him and what he does, except for Baby Driver. To me, he has a lot of goodwill because of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and I really enjoyed 75% of Scott Pilgrim.
What's 25% you don't like?
Is trying to get off as much Michael Cera as possible.
I just love the. I think Luke. I think Chris Evans is great in it.
Oh, he's fantastic. Everyone's great in that movie, man.
It's so...
Except for Michael Cera. Actually, Michael Cera does what Michael Cera does, and it fits really well, but he's just so uninteresting.
Have you noticed that his movies that don't star Simon Pegg, that he's not a casting genius, Edgar Wright. I don't mind the kid who plays Baby Driver. He's fine. And it's probably the script. I shouldn't doubt this kid because he's good. He's good in the movie.
Yeah, he is.
But it's probably the script. He's not given a lot to do outside of, listen to his iPod.
Huh.
And I don't know. I mean, he's good in the movie.
I liked him. Yeah. It's funny. I thought the writing was good when I saw the movie, so it made me really do a serious thought about this shit.
It was giving me pause.
Okay, so I want to talk about something. We talk about the rules for setting up a story, but we talked about Drive in a way that I want to dive in a little bit more. So Drive not only sets up the rules that we're going to be living in, but it sets up the rules of the character.
Yes.
And why is that important?
Because a lot of reasons. You need to tell me who this person is.
Okay.
But B, on a more important note, these are probably the rules that are going to get broke, which is going to cause whatever trajectory the character is going to take in the course of the film.
Right. There's only one reason why you set up rules at the beginning of the story that he verbalizes.
because in a good movie, whoever that person is in the first 5 minutes is not who they end up as in the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Absolutely.
in a good movie.
Right. There's growth, negative or positively.
Yes.
There's growth.
Negative or positive, there's growth. Yeah. What does Roy Scheider tell you paramount up front in the first few minutes of Jaws?
I'm sorry. Well, what? I lost it.
What does Sheriff Brody tell the audience up front in Jaws in the very first scene that we're with him? What is communicated?
That there's the part of the holiday.
He hates the water.
Oh, he hates the water. Okay.
He's got no interest in going in the water. He hates it. He's terrified of it.
Oh, that's right.
And
okay,
by the end of the movie, where is he? He's knee deep in it.
He's knee deep
fighting
in it,
off
right.
a 25-foot shark. Yeah.
Well, I feel that.
And
thank you.
because what the storyteller is doing is you communicate the shark, don't go in the water, shark's going to eat you.
Right.
Okay. Next scene, Brody, I hate the water.
Right.
What if you just told the audience?
Conflict.
At the end of the movie,
right.
Brody's going to be in the water with the shark.
Right.
And we're waiting the rest of the movie.
You know what? Okay, so
what?
But there are people, and there are ways that's done that you will say that's just horrible foreshadowing. Where it's that's horrible. Yeah, thanks for telling me what's going to happen.
No, that's good storytelling.
But it's all about how you tell it, right? Because you could do that in a bad movie. And
because you didn't immediately say. You didn't respond like, oh, he says he's afraid of the water. It's in the movie, but it isn't like they don't hammer you with it.
Right.
It's there.
Right.
And the audience subconsciously is thinking like, oh man.
But more importantly,
throw in the water with this.
They don't just mention it, and then it becomes a play at the end. Throughout the movie, that still is a grounding factor for our character,
totally.
where it constantly comes up. It constantly comes up throughout the story to a point where you know it's going to happen, right? So it's just unlike the Baby Driver thing, or it was another one maybe that we talked about where it sets up something in the beginning, but then it doesn't follow through with it. So at the very end, like the tapes. If you're setting up the tapes, let them be a factor throughout the movie, not just something that's up for a setup for a payoff, right? So the good ones are able to do that and then establish the want and the need to go forward.
There's too much in that Baby Driver that's too much like, hey, this is cool and that's cool. It almost like, okay, you know that I haven't liked the last few Tarantino films, but
the last two being Death Proof and
the last few Tarantino's are
Inglourious
Bastards and
the Western.
I don't mind Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, come on, man, it's a good movie.
It is good. It's a good movie.
It's a little long. I wish it was shorter, but I like all his movies.
But Edgar Wright and Tarantino are good buddies in real life, and I think that Wright admires, rightfully so, Tarantino's success.
Oh,
rightfully so.
Yeah.
And I started after I watched Baby Driver. I was thinking like, how much better of a movie would Baby Driver be if it was a Quentin Tarantino film?
Oh gosh, yeah. You know, I mean that's his cup of tea though. That's his. He's very familiar with that genre.
Right in his alley. All right, the crime, the music, the soundtrack, the car chases. I mean, all the elements were there to where you would have got a very interesting, hip kind of
wheelhouse, man. That's
different,
for sure.
Different movie. And I think Baby Driver wants to be that movie, but he doesn't. And it's Edgar Wright wrote the film, and I think he needs a partner in writing until he gets better at it. The elements are there. I think he sees. It's kind of like. He sees the elements that make a Tarantino. I'm not saying he did this. You see the elements that make a Tarantino film pulse. The music, the snappy one-liners, the this and that. There's a lot of underlying connective tissue as to why those things work in a Tarantino that are not in Baby Driver. You can't just throw things at the screen like, hey, he makes mixtapes. Hey, he can repeat dialogue. Hey, he dances to this. Hey, he's got this, isn't this cool? Isn't that cool? Hey, isn't this cool? Yeah, that's cool too. Like, all those things have to mesh.
Sure.
Or the movie doesn't work.
And it doesn't seem, for me, for Edgar Wright, doesn't really seem to, the more I think about this, we're talking about this guy, I like him, but I only like him because I like his attempt at what he does mostly, but they're not all home runs. And he's only had one really good one, and one of my favorite is Shaun of the Dead. His best movies are the collaboration with Simon Pegg. I mean, Simon Pegg is a great writer. There's no doubt. Pegg is an amazing writer. He does a lot of script doctoring that never goes... noticed or written down or whatever,
acknowledged and so on. And I think that Edgar Wright is an amazing stylist. He's an amazing tactician.
Yeah,
making a movie the way he makes movies is not an easy task, obviously.
Nope.
But I think Pegg has been the soul of these films up until a certain point, and he needs a good writer.
I think that's what it comes down to. It needs a little more collaboration, or however that comes to be. But
yeah, right.
So, I mean, like I say, I like what I think he can do, but Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz isn't all that great. It's just got some really good stuff to it.
Hot Fuzz is way too long.
Yeah, exactly, right. Scott Pilgrim, I didn't like End of the World almost at all, actually.
A little too grim. That's too grim for me or something.
I
like
left.
like it.
I think I wanted to walk out. I was like so bored
Really?
of it. Yeah.
Like, I like it, but it's too long by a minute for sure.
Yeah. And then he almost had Ant-Man, so he doesn't have much of a sample size there when it comes down to it.
It's true. Yeah. Shaun of the Dead,
Hot Fuzz, End of the World, Scott Pilgrim, Baby Driver.
Yeah, Shaun of the Dead's a clear winner in that pack.
Yeah, for sure.
I can already watch that film. Like that movie moves like clockwork.
Oh yeah.
The tracking shot of him going to the store to get
it's
going by and sets up like where's that shot in Baby? I'm not saying you got to repeat all your old cons, but there isn't anything in Baby Driver that communicates visual information in anything close to the same way as he does that in Shaun of the Dead. When I saw Shaun of the Dead and saw in the first 50 minutes, I was like, we're looking at it like a serious new talent.
Yeah.
This guy is seriously fucking talented.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah, no, he's good, man. He's good. I just wish I want to see more of him. I hope that this movie gets him a little bit more access where he can make another movie, and hopefully it'd be a success. Like, hopefully it's something like Scott Pilgrim where he can do his thing, but a success.
It almost makes me think is that where he and Marvel divided? Because as much as we deride the filmmaking sometimes in the Marvel films,
right?
I do think they work pretty hard on establishing their characters and the plots making sense and how it all interweaves. And is that where they crossed paths? Was Feige was like, we're not really getting much out of the character in your screenplay here. You got a lot of cool set pieces,
right? It's
a
lot of
what's
fun,
going on? Like, what's going on with this guy? Like, who is he? And that's pop. Like, again, it's hearsay.
We're just throwing it to the wind. It's possible. Maybe he just wasn't making the connections that they need. Maybe he was being very, coming up with his own reasons for things happening. We're like, no, you can't do it that way. It's got to because of this, and you gotta think
why
about
did that? Like, why did that happen in your script when that didn't happen before?
Yeah, exactly right. So who knows? But who knows?
This is where we get into the Craig Miller speculation side of the podcast. Yeah.
Well,
speculation.
Remember we talked about doing a podcast of pure speculation is the movies that never were. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Doing a podcast of movies that never were, because one of my favorites is Justice League Mortals.
That'll forever pain me.
Oh, the George Miller Justice League movie. Oh, come on.
I would say the movies that never were that pain me the most are Justice League Mortals by George Miller, Ridley Scott and Arnold Schwarzenegger's version of I Am Legend.
Oh, God. Really?
Paul Verhoeven and Schwarzenegger's Crusade movie that never happened.
Oh.
About the Crusades, which would have just been an epic, just, I don't know what to say about it.
Late 80s?
God. And then I'm missing one. Can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know.
Well, folks, if you get a chance, go look for the Justice League Mortal script. It is fantastic.
Steven Spielberg's Interstellar.
Oh, yeah, right, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Or Stanley Kubrick's AI.
Oh, God, yeah, that's another tough one. That's another tough nut to crack right there.
Right. But yeah, the Justice League, I read the screenplay, and I could say, oh, my God. Or for me, one is Nottingham, which became Robin Hood. That was not the movie that was sold, and it's a screenplay. It's too bad I never got to see that. But with Justice League Mortals, man, woo. So that's a whole topic on its own, man. Just movies that we never got to see.
That would have been, because we read it about the same time, that would have been something I would rewatch countless times.
Oh, dude, it had everything right for me.
It had a great pace. It had a good entry point with the Flash. It had good set pieces, setups that Miller would have like blown out of the water.
Right.
And I'm sure we would have watched the Superman and Wonder Woman fight like on a loop.
Oh yeah.
I love the wording in the screenplay where they've taken the fight into outer space, and he grabs Wonder Woman by her cape and starts swinging her, and she becomes like a blur of a rainbow color because he's swinging her so fast.
Oh wow!
Then he lets her go. Yeah. I was like, that's a nice touch.
Yeah, no, that would have been a great movie. It's too bad that we never get to see that. So what else about the interior, the inner logic? What about that? Oh no, I'm sorry. I brought up something we never really kind of touched on it. We kind of just glazed over it. The internal the reason why I asked about like Drive, how it sets up the character
logic.
Right.
Yeah.
So you want to have that because you want to make sure you know where that character is going to falter at. Right.
You got to break it. Break it.
Now, not every rule has to establish him verbally like Drive did.
Yeah.
But that was kind of cool because it quickly tells us what he's all about.
You need your character has to like and dislike. Your characters need a point of view. I mean, I was having this discussion with somebody about Stranger Things. Stranger Things is what I wanted to mention before.
Okay.
Because I read an article and then I was talking to somebody about Stranger Things, and they're like, "Hey, you get to know the kids real fast." And I was like, "Well, do you notice you notice how they did that so quickly?" He's like, "No, I don't." Like, what do you mean? And I said, "They introduced the characters. Well, they're playing a role playing game, but then the kid goes missing, but they're constantly doing what? They argue about the role playing game, and then they're also arguing about going to or going to not find their missing friend, right? What you get in those interactions is not flippant arguing. They're all expressing their own point of view. I want to go find him because he's my best friend. We should go because it's guest curfew. I obey all the rules and I laws. My most important thing is my friendship with him. Like, you're establishing what the character's point of view and what's important to them and not important to them are. It's in there. You're subconsciously picking up on it, but you're learning who these people are. And good movies, Back to the Future. Back to the Future, what does Marty do with almost everybody in the first 8 minutes of the movie? He's pretty much in an argument with everybody that he comes in contact with, right? He's always expressing what his point of view is. Like, an argument without a point of view is just a verbal clash for no reason. But if your arguments express what the person's point of view is, I'm authority, whether it's simple like I'm authority and you need to listen to me, well, I'm a rebel, I'm not going to listen to you. Those are two very base, broad stroke characterizations.
Sure.
But if you get into Minority Report, whereas they're arguing, not arguing, but they're all kind of pushing Tom Cruise on, we don't have time, and you're not going to get it, and where can you get it? And Tom Cruise is so dedicated into finding where and how all these pieces fit together, you get a sense of who this guy really is.
Okay.
Whereas in a lesser movie, he would have probably the guy's at 24th Street, and the movie becomes about a race to get there in time.
Sure.
Where the race and the Minority Report is about him figuring it out at the very last moment. And a lot of Spielberg's films do that. As if you watch like E.T., the kids are introduced arguing, but in that argument, it seems like a little, adolescent power play. But if you listen to the dialogue, they're all expressing their point of view. So you understand who they are, and when you express a character's point of view, you identify as to who this person is. This is the funny guy. That's the serious guy. That's the guy who bends the rule. This is the guy who obeys the rule. This is the guy that thinks this. Like, if you don't understand any of that after the first 8 or 10 minutes, they're just faces.
Well, Craig, that's why any good screenplay, every word matters, right? Because everything that comes out of their mouth, every action that they do has to represent their character, what they're doing, where they're going, where they've been, something, without being on the nose, right? It all has to say something. For example,
not giving anything away here since we're talking, I started right in the beginning of the Western we were talking about.
Oh.
And I decided to open it with the main law dog dude. And he comes, he's at this table, he loses a card game.
Okay.
And he walks up to the bar and he wants, another drink. And he has a little verbal tit for tat with the bartender about drink and what he's doing and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the conversation, what you learn is it's 6 a.m. in the morning. And he's now going out to work. And what he says to the bartender at the last, he takes his little coin and taps it. And he leaves, but then he turns around and he goes, "Oh, and Will." And the bartender turns around and he goes, "Don't ever tell me when I can't drink." And he leaves.
Oh, it's nice.
The bartender's giving him some shit about what he's drinking too much of this, but you don't get a sense of like, then you find out like, it's fucking 6 a.m. in the morning.
Right.
And he's going to work. He's been up all night gambling. Now he's going to go to work.
But that last comment is like it's so important. Don't ever tell me.
Exactly. Yes. Don't tell me when I can't drink.
Right. And of course he says it as he's walking away, as he's already out the door, not while he's in front of him.
Right.
Right. Because he's not going to do anything.
And as he's leaving, he puts his badge on.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because he doesn't have his badge on when he's gambling. He puts it on to go to work.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds. That's exactly right. And that sets up the tone, sets up the character, sets up who what he's all about, sets up his rules. So yeah, no, man, that's the way to do it. You mentioned Back to the Future. You're right. There's no better way to interpret an opening, or not even opening, but just the rules and who the character is and why.
And it's so simple. It's so simple, and it's so simple that it's comical. Is you introduce Marty McFly, the movie's called Back to the Future, and what is he? He's late. Right. And it's such a simple, stupid little thing.
It is.
It's such a nice little detail.
Yeah.
It's almost like there's some details in movies like that, guys like Zemeckis and Spielberg or whoever pull off, where it's so blatantly on the nose that it works. Like it almost comes off as too smart for its own good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Because was that an accident or not?
It's an obvious, it's a purposeful choice. But.
No, that's a brilliant one because you're right. If you that little thing about him being late sets up just this little bit about his character, and it ties into the title of the story. So it's great.
Yeah,
that's good.
Exactly.
Okay, so what about one movie that I mentioned? I wanted to mention earlier. We were talking about setting up the rules, and I can't remember what the opening scene was, but for some reason, the Adjustment Bureau came to mind.
The Adjustment Bureau sets your fate, right? Like
that's it. Yeah.
You're on a course, and you can't deviate from that course.
Right, and they always try to keep you on that path, right?
Yeah.
So it sets up that immediately.
When they break the rules, and then they cause the ire of the Adjustment Bureau to come out.
Right, so that's a perfect example of setting up the rules, because the rule is let them guide you. You will lead exactly where you're supposed to. Yeah. But once they just try to go deviate from there, that's where it causes the conflict. And that's breaking the rules. So it sets it up really easily.
It's kind of like, I know this reminds me of the opening of Dark City. Remember Dark City?
I do.
And the opening, to me, sets up pretty blatantly what's going on. Like, they stop time and they rearrange everything and they come back to normal. And I remember the girl that I saw it with was like 20 minutes in. She's like, I don't understand what's happening. I was like, how can you not understand this? Like, it's not...
What an asshole.
He laid it all out. I wasn't like I blew up in the theater.
I know.
In my mind, I'm like, what? What are you, stupid?
What is wrong with you, woman? Go get outside and go get me a Coke.
That happens a lot. Like, it doesn't happen as much anymore because I hear it's just a different atmosphere. But I remember many times being in movies where I could hear, I'm like, watch the movie, and then you, like, really faintly you hear somebody, like, behind you or in front of you, like, wait, I don't understand who that guy is. That's the same guy from before. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like, what are you, a fool? Of course it's the same guy.
That's
awesome. Of course it's the same person.
Oh, that's good. That's good, man. How about Casablanca?
The opening scene sets up totally. Like, they shoot the guy in the street. They set up, like, what the conflict is, what the consequences are,
who the bad guys are,
lived in, who the bad guys are. Like, it's all there. All of it's there. Yeah.
Sets up this world inside this bar, which we stay in for the majority of the movie.
But more importantly, it sets up that even it's all on that street. The whole movie takes place like a street, but it sets up the conflict.
Yeah.
You're not getting out of here. The police force has absolute power. They gun a man down on the street, and everyone's like looking the other way.
It sets up everything, the time frame and everything. So, let's say the good ones. It's not just about I want to differentiate it from like talking about just openings, right? Because an opening is something that grabs your attention, but done properly, it's about doing more than just.
It tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
What are the operating parameters here?
Right.
How's it work?
So much more important than just having a fun opening that you're hooked on, right? It's got to do a lot more for character and for story.
I mean, it's totally by design. Like when you go to a supermarket, there's arrows going everywhere. Oh, I can't. Oh, nope, that's the exit. I can't go that way. I gotta go. We gotta go this way. And there's where these things are. It's like telling you what the expectations are.
Right.
I go here. This is I go. And everything in life is like that. You go to the movie theater, roads,
McDonald's.
kind of like when you go to a music park, and you walk in like the new rides. You go into the big room, and then they come down. It's like you're now in the temple of Ra, and we've not been able to find the golden ticket, but maybe you can find it for us. And they lay out the rules of the ride you're going to get on. Because otherwise, if you just get on the ride and ride through the stuff, you're just like, it's totally out of context. So that was fun.
Right.
But more so for the kids, obviously, they get you invested in what the story is.
Absolutely.
Here's where you're going. This is the journey you're going on. These are the bad people, and these are the good people. Otherwise, you're just on some roller coaster.
Yeah, no, I hear. Yeah, you're right. But I think it. But isn't there something different then when you're talking about just the internal logic setting up that? Because that's what we started the conversation about. So,
yeah, I've gone off on a whole different...
Yeah, I know we're talking about just openings in general as far as creating that sense of, the want to keep watching, but it's that internal logic that really, I think, is so important to set up, because if you go away from that, you lost your story.
I haven't given a lot of examples of movies that break logic outside Baby Driver. Baby Driver takes all the rules the first 20 minutes and toss them. Like just throws them out, character-wise, everything else. Let me think of some more examples of movies that do that, and it's not. It's unpleasant when characters make choices that are totally uncharacteristic. Drawing a blank. I should have taken some notes. Notes.
Yeah. You mean plan? What?
Well, what's disappointed us in the past?
Oh, that's a good. Okay, how about that? Okay, so
disappointed us lately.
What did we see this summer that we didn't like this year so far? So, a lot, right? A lot came out that we... So hold on, man. Why do we not come prepared for any of this ever?
It's more fun to just
just throw shit out the window. I want to look up what came out that we didn't like. Like Wonder Woman has a great opening. Detroit. No, I'm not gonna go there because you didn't see it.
Going back to Batman vs Superman, that movie starts taking its logic at the last minute and tossing it around willy nilly.
That's true. Okay, how about
totally does.
Guardians of the Galaxy? You see
Never establishes that.
Number two.
Never established.
Establishes the world that this is still a spacey science fiction world. Establishes characters obviously don't get along anymore. Establishes nothing else. It's just a big... It establishes Baby Groot being a dancing guy.
Cute, yeah.
Right?
Cute.
It's yeah, exactly, cute. So that's a horrible opening. Hold, please.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2 tries to run off the cuff of, we already saw the last movie, so I don't need to really establish anything anymore.
Right.
Because what it does very badly is like, we can't steal the batteries from these people because they're bad and they're dangerous. So it tells you they're dangerous, but then in the next scene shows you how ineffective they are. And I hate that about modern movies. Hate that.
Huh.
You can't tell me how dangerous a person or their army is and then show them being totally ineffective in the next scene. Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
That's absolutely right. No, you're 100% right. So I can't find any of the movies that we didn't dislike. I didn't like Logan Lucky. I saw that recently, by the way, and I didn't really care for it all that much. And I can't remember what the opening was. But it really didn't grab me. So I'm having a hard time finding anything else that we saw this year that we didn't like. We liked a lot that came out this year. There's been some good movies. You didn't see Spider-Man, right?
No.
So it's not the best year for the bad movies. It's been some pretty good ones. But what about last year? A lot of we already talked about Force Awakens. We already talked about Rogue One. How about
Suicide Squad has no logic.
Oh, well, yeah, it just establishes immediately.
I just kind of pulled that out of the hat there. I know it's kind of hard to criticize that film because I don't think anyone who involved in it really cared.
Apocalypse, X-Men Apocalypse that's last year, had a horrible opening sequence where you're like, oh, it tries to set up the world and you're like, well, none of this makes sense. What's going on here?
Wait a minute, like what's going on? I hate lately. I recognize this 100%, is that I grew up on, you as well, grew up on films where 90% of the time they took careful steps to introduce character and plot and the story logic and so on and so forth. But I'm noticing more and more that movies are just a random collection of events.
Absolutely.
And I I'm not lost as in like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm lost in the sense of like, I'll be in a scene and I'm like, how do we get to this scene? What?
Right. Right. Well, it jumps around. There's no connectivity. There's no emotional attachment to anything, and I think it's because we talked about this before. Is about the collaborative effort after, right when the movie's being made or during its make, where it just keeps getting changed, and so many people involved with it that you lose a singular voice, and you need to have some type of a voice throughout the movie. Otherwise, you've got nothing.
It's a product.
Exactly. You've got to have a voice. And hopefully it's the director, the writer, somebody that's there that's really, fine-tuning this thing. But if you have too many people fucking things up, like in a screenplay in that regard, man, you're screwed.
Like, imagine if somebody took, if somebody, you handed the world of Wages of Sin off to another group of writers.
Wages of Sin.
With no context what we were trying to do. They're going to read it and be like, do I need this groggy character? I could probably trim that down. Because they're looking at it from story construction.
Right.
They're going to be like, well, I could lose some of that. I can take this out. It becomes a whole different animal. And then by the time you get it back, it's a whole different voice. So, of course, it kind of comes back. If you make that version, you're like, why do they even have this groggy guy in the movie? Well, the movie was written around him when we did it.
Exactly.
It had a whole different intent. So you start losing the creative intent and the drive with whatever the original spark of the idea was.
No, you're right.
As it goes through iterations, it's like, why is this guy even in the movie?
Especially when you have other people, trying to make those changes,
Yeah, exactly.
That makes it harder for you. You're like, oh, damn, I don't want to do that.
Like, you get handed a script, like you're a script doctor. Someone hands you a screenplay for Logan. And I was like, hey, can you lighten this up? It's a little hard. And you're going to look at it and be like, well, okay, $150,000. Okay, you didn't need to kill that guy. Okay, you don't got to kill that guy either.
We don't have to see this death.
Yeah, you don't have to see that. Does Professor X need to have seizures? It's like,
soften it up.
Yeah,
a
you
bit.
just start softening the whole before you know it. Before the thing's got no teeth.
Yeah, well, I mean that's part of it, man. I mean, it's just like it's amazing some movies that there are as many good movies out there because of the amount of people, the amount of things, the amount of good luck that's needed to be in place for things to go the right way to make everything the way they want to make it.
That's why I probably haven't said this in a while, even though I critique the hell out of movies. I fully understand how hard it has to be to make a decent movie that has a beginning, middle, and an end. And the thing makes sense and looks good, and
successful financially.
And successful financially. I mean, that's such a huge achievement.
Yeah.
Like the movies that do it really well are such massive achievements in their own right. That's why even when I see a bad movie, I try to kind of like, well, that part of it wasn't so bad. Like I can look at Baby Driver and be like, well, the action scenes look good, or the soundtrack's good, or John Hamm's good in it. I just can't get over Jamie Foxx. I'll never be able to get over.
Yeah, well, I don't ever like it. But movies like Assassinate Jesse James or Drive didn't make a lot of money. Because they were just under hyped and people didn't want to see it, and they're amazingly structured movies that do everything they're supposed to.
Yeah, and it's
that's a marketing problem though. So
yeah, it is a marketing thing. Like I totally, that's why I get so bowled over by something like Fury Road.
Yeah,
because it's an achievement on so many levels. Like, how did he even pull that off? Like, how did he fucking make that movie? I get it. Like, I mean, even when I watch good short films, I'm like, wow, like how the hell did they pull that off? So I get it. Like, I get how hard it is, but I also think that a decent filmmaker who you've hired, so you have a lot of confidence in this man or woman to do this, and giving them an army of technical experts, some at the peak of their game to pull this off, you should be able to do it.
Yeah. Should
be the operative word.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, but it's a crapshoot, man.
Totally, yeah.
It's about it comes down to marketing and the editing and marketing and what it's up against and how the critics treat it, because that can kill it too. So it's so many things at play, man. It just hopefully a good movie gets out there and you get to see it. That's why I'm glad when River finally got here. Like I knew it wasn't going to be a movie where everyone was going to go see it.
Yeah, right.
But got to go see it. It's an amazing movie. I mean, it's perfect.
Well, I like watching filmmakers like mature into the really good work. I think some of the work I have my problems with Dunkirk, but it shows, I think, a step forward for Nolan as a technical filmmaker, like craftsman-wise. James Mangold has obviously, like the past 3 or 4 movies before Logan, he was like really honing in on what kind of movies he wants to make.
Okay.
He made a Western.
Yep.
You know, he made a Wolverine movie. He's got something else mixed in there. And then, like, all his experiences culminate in Logan.
Right.
Which has got a lot of Western noir feels.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really hard, but it's a good movie.
Yep.
But if I would have only seen Identity, which is one of his first movies.
John Cusack.
John Cusack, which I like Identity a lot, by the way. I think it's really well made.
Pretty good.
I don't, like, he would, like, nowadays he'd be like, yeah, get that guy for the Wolverine movie. But it's interesting to watch his craft build and where he is with Logan now. Whereas the same thing would be said, like, if you look at, like, Scorsese, all his experiences through Mean Streets and Taxi Driver and King of Comedy and all those films, New York, New York, built into what was Goodfellas.
Right.
Like, all of his technical experience with actors and how to make a film and what works and what doesn't, and what he knows he needs in editing, what he doesn't need in editing, all that culminates in Goodfellas, which is a damn near perfect movie.
Yeah, right.
And that's where it's crazy to think that I deride James Cameron a lot. James Cameron's one of those guys who, like, if you, like, watch Terminator and Aliens and the Abyss, and then T2, which are only 4 movies, he's that guy. He's one of those people. He's just a natural born filmmaker.
Oh yeah.
Like Tarantino. Tarantino was another guy. He was just born with it.
Right.
Like, I know.
There's people who get
what angles I
Spielberg.
need.
You know,
yeah.
they get it.
He was born with it. Yeah, he was a born storyteller.
Right.
And other people kind of graduate, like, made okay movies, and they got better at it.
Yep.
And
well, you know, that's interesting because we talked about Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know who directed Hell or High Water?
John Masterson.
I thought it was Taylor Sheridan.
No, it's John Masterson. He's Scottish, I think.
Something like that. I thought it was Taylor. Sheridan for the longest time there. Up until like a week ago, I was like, "Holy shit, I got that shit wrong."
Well, when you watched Rin River, did it feel like the same filmmaker made it? Okay.
No, that's why I was like, interesting. Oh, this doesn't. Okay, not in a bad way at all. It just didn't feel like that you know, whatever he had there didn't translate to the next movie.
A good example of watching somebody mature is Denis Villeneuve. He was already good.
Right.
Like Prisoners is good, and Enemy is good. They're good. And then Sicario is a huge leap forward, I thought, from a filmmaking perspective. And then Arrival showed this emotional complexity I hadn't seen in his other works. So he just keeps getting better.
Yeah.
And better.
Oh yeah.
And better. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And now we get Blade Runner.
Oh, man. When is that? October 4th?
Next month, yeah.
Can't come soon enough.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
I'm
looking forward to that shit, man. I'm looking forward to that. That's gonna start like this last leg of the year. Some good movies, hopefully.
I'm going to see that. I'm going to see that alone for sure.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
There isn't anybody I want. There isn't any cinema partner I've had in the past 6 months I want in the theater with me at that movie. Nothing against anyone. Nothing against anybody. Right. I've got to come and get a medical. I think I'm still going to come to Michigan. Maybe we can check it out.
So I would be the one person worthy.
I've got to. Oh, you absolutely. Yeah, of course I'd see it with you. God's sakes. I am looking forward to seeing it in IMAX. I'll say that.
Oh man, I don't care how I see it. It better be on Epic. Actually, I do care. Actually, I take that back. I do care. It better be on the Epic. That's all I care about.
They're saying it's 2.5 hours long.
Wow.
The first one's like an hour and 35, 40 minutes. The first one?
No, it's gotta be 2 hours or more.
I don't think it crosses 2 hours.
It gotta be damn close then. I just gave it to Paul. Paul just watched it for the first time not too long ago.
I gotta look this up now.
Oh, let's see who gets first.
You got your phone. He'll be first.
What was I looking up? What was the whole?
Oh, I'm gonna win, so man.
I got the movie up, but what are we looking up?
How long is it?
Oh, how long? Time frame. No, you're gonna win. Hour 57. 57. I win. Well, Craig, so let's do a little recap here. So with the topic on our number 50 podcast, the J. Craig.
Rules good. No rules bad.
Rules good. Logic. Set it up and follow it. Right? That's the most important part. Follow your logic. And first set it up, then follow it.
And that's the thing is your logic can be like totally whacked out, fantasy skewed logic.
Mm-hmm. Set it up.
But you do need logic. Like
right.
you have to, whatever logic and rules you have in the first 10 minutes have got to be in the last 10 minutes too.
Right.
Unless you're doing some time travel, something gender bender, whatever going on. But you can't have a character who's a pacifist for the first 40 minutes, all of a sudden become a mass murderer unless that's the big twist of your movie.
Well, there's that too. Well, how about E.T., right? You start with E.T., you meet the alien, and you know that he's got something special.
Right.
Because the way he's glowing, and there's something special, so he's got some kind of a power. What kind of power that is, who knows what it is.
Sure.
But we also know that it's Earth. And we know that there's someone looking.
Yeah.
Right? So we learn all that, and so that way when he first shows that he has some kind of a power or whatever it is, it's not surprising.
Yeah, exactly.
We learn this early on, right from the start of it. And if you don't do that, you just create things that happen. You're like, well, why did that happen?
Yeah, like if an hour and a half in, at an hour and a half in, his finger suddenly glowed, you'd be like, where'd that come from?
Exactly, right.
It does it in the first scene.
Exactly. It sets everything up. So that's the beautiful part about when it's done right is that and that's the good ones. I mean, a good story is going to set it up. If it's not a good story, I guarantee it doesn't set up rules. There's no internal logic. And Samurai Cop. Then you have Samurai Cop.
Samurai Cop does have its own logic. Samurai Cop totally has logic.
So everyone listening to the J. Craig, if you've been listening to us for 1 or 2 episodes, or if you've been listening to us to all 50, we greatly appreciate your listenership.
Yeah, we can't say they're all winners, but there's some golden childs in there, we think.
There's some definite golden childs.
Some good ones. Yeah, some good ones in there.
Even without ever talking about golden child, there's probably some golden ones out there for sure. So if you're new to the J. Craig, everybody, twice a month we're gonna have a J. Craig podcast. We are on Facebook, iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube. Am I missing anything, Craig?
No.
That's it. It's the J. Craig podcast, everybody. So we're also at jcraig.podcast@gmail. If you have any questions for us, and look at our buddies are just pulling up. So I hear your Thunder Road's behind you.
Exactly. Thunder Road is here.
So,
and if for some reason, if Edgar, if you're listening to this, you disappointed me, sir. Just did.
And then write Craig at thejcraig.podcast@gmail.
Please do. I'd love to hear. Because the first thing you'd say, I heard I wasn't make that goddamn movie.
And that's the thing is sometimes it's hard to we bitch about movies. We get it. It's hard. I want movies to be perfect for me, and that they're not perfect for everybody. Sometimes they just don't hit.
It probably sounds like I'm asking for too much sometimes, but actually I'm pretty easily pleased. If you just do like the basics, I
am asking for a lot, but I can be easily pleased. I ask a lot of my movies, but you can sneak them by me. You know what I'm saying? But you just gotta do it right.
Sometimes I'm just good with a good soundtrack. I'm like a good musical score, and I'm like, I like this.
Right.
I'll get by on this.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the timing. It's there's a lot of factors that play when watching a movie and if it's gonna affect you. If it's gonna like I walked into a movie where I had a fight with Tina. So I go to see a movie afterwards, and I'm already all hot, and
right.
So it affected my start of my movie, and it kind of took me a while to get into it. So that's why I like to get there early, zone out, and just turn everything off. So the movie starts, I'm ready.
Right. Exactly.
Right? So Craig, lovely talking to you again, sir.
Lovely as well talking to you, sir. Glad you're having a good, busy weekend there.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your day off tomorrow.
I think tomorrow's going to be the first day off. We've been doing a lot of busy stuff at the house. Tomorrow we're going to relax it and spend time with the kid. Levi starts kindergarten Tuesday. Happy kindergarten day, whatever.
Happy kindergarten
anyway,
day.
Man. All right, man.
First day of school.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's do this the proper way now. All right, everybody. Come on, keep on listening because
we'll keep talking.
That's right. All right, Craig. We will talk to you next time.
Later.
All right.